Are you thinking of heading to Siargao? Maybe you'd like to know what to expect or how to plan your trip. Well, I have you covered because I just spent 10 days there, so I'm about to tell you everything you need to know before heading to Siargao. Let's get right into it. First things first, let's talk about how to get to this tropical paradise. If you're already in the Philippines and you're flying from Manila, you can expect to pay between $55 to $80. Now, if you're in Cebu City though, which is much closer, you can expect to pay between $28 to $60. I flew from Cebu City and the flight was super easy, it's just a 1-hour flight. But here's a quick tip, if you're a carry-on only kind of traveler just like me, then make sure to pack light, and let me tell you why. The planes are actually much smaller, so the overhead compartments as well as the space underneath the seat are a really tight squeeze. On the way to Siargao, my bag barely fit underneath the seat and made my flight super uncomfortable, so I decided to check one of the bags on the way back, which cost around $15. Now, if for some reason you'd like to take the ferry to Siargao, you can do so in Siargao City. They have both a fast craft and a slow craft. The fast craft will get you there in about an hour and a half. The slow craft takes about 4 hours. The difference in price between those ferries is not that much. It ranges from like $7 to $10, so you might as well go on the fast craft. Now let's talk about how to get to General Luna, the commercial hub of Siargao. Now, once you arrive in Siargao Airport, you're gonna have a few options. I decided to hop on a tourist van, which only costs around $5. But be warned about this option because you're gonna have to wait for it to fill up to the brim, and then they're gonna have to make several stops before arriving at your own accommodation. What I'm gonna do next time I go to Siargao is rent a scooter for just around $6 a day and keep it with me the whole time. Obviously, this is much more convenient, and not only is it a faster ride, but it's much more adventurous as well, right? And of course, you can ride your scooter right back to the airport when it's time to leave. Now, if you're not feeling van life or scooter life, you can get a private taxi of your own, and that'll cost between $15 to $20. So when is the best time to visit Siargao? Well, most people would say during the dry season, which is from April to September. But if you do want to avoid crowds, maybe go around April and May. But if you're an advanced surfer, maybe September to November is really going to be your sweet spot. One thing to note is that the island's infrastructure is still catching up, so the occasional flooding and earthquakes are something to keep in mind. During my 10 days there, I actually experienced 2 stronger earthquakes that averaged at about 4.3 magnitude, and one of them was actually quite scary. In terms of language and communication, you'll be happy to know that the Philippines is one of the most English proficient countries in Asia. But of course, learning some of the local phrases goes a long way in showing respect for their culture. Now let's talk about accommodation options. So if you're a backpacker, you've probably been considering staying at Mad Monkey. But let me tell you, that is the only place on the island that sells overpriced beers. So that's a deal breaker for me. If you do want to stay there, they have beds for as low as $13 a night. I do want to recommend 2 other hostels that I heard great things about when I was on the island. One of them is called Casa Villa and the other one is called Hiraya. They are both about $15 a night. Now, if you're a couple, you should consider staying at a place called The Henry, and they have an awesome restaurant there called Kermit. Of course, this is going to be a little bit of a pricier option from $70 to $80 a night. But you will be staying at a beautiful place that has one of the best restaurants on the island, so it might be worth it. And maybe they'll even give you a discount at the restaurant. Now, if you're looking for a much more laid-back option, just away from absolutely everything, I would recommend heading up to Pacifico Beach. Now, I didn't head there myself, but it seems like it's a much more laid-back and quiet atmosphere. I myself stayed at an Airbnb in General Luna, and it was such an amazing central option. We really loved it. It came out to about $47 a night, but I was splitting it with my friend, so it came out to $23. And I will leave a link to that below because I think when it's not high season, it might be even cheaper than that, so do check it out. In a very general sense, if your focus is on surfing and a quieter vibe, stay at Cloud9. If your intention is going out, partying, going to lots of restaurants and bars, stay at General Luna. And if you're somewhere in between, why not stay in between those 2 places? It's actually pretty quiet and you get the best of both worlds. But honestly, it doesn't really matter where you stay within that area because it's just 5 kilometers. So if you have your own scooter, you're covered either way and you can quickly get from A to B. Now, for those of you that are not comfortable riding a scooter, you can get a tricycle from General Luna to Cloud9 for about $3.50. And you can also get a habo, which is like a local guy that rides a motorcycle, and I'm guessing he'll charge you just half of that every time you want to go from A to B. But again, financially, it makes much more sense to get a scooter. In terms of navigation, Google Maps actually worked really well when I was on the island, but of course, when you're on Wi-Fi, just download the offline map just to be safe. Now let's quickly talk about some outdoor adventure options. So once you have your scooter, do drive to the north side of the island, and pretty soon you're going to be on some roads that are just lined with palm tree jungles. It's absolutely breathtaking. The roads are actually in very good condition, and you'll get a much better feel of the island life because you're going to be driving through some villages. It's super peaceful and quiet. I really love that experience. And it's a really nice change of pace from the general Luna area. In terms of diving, I'm certainly no expert, but there are 7 dive sites listed by Patty around Siargao Island. They include 6 reef dives, 5 ocean dives, and 1 cavern dive. I'm going to leave a link to that below if you want to learn more, because I'm certainly not the guy to teach you. Now, if you're into adrenaline-filled outdoor activities, maybe you should go check out the Siargao water park. I didn't go because it didn't quite fit my budget at the time. It seems to cost around $14 for 30 minutes, which is kind of up there, right? But you can do an hour for 20 bucks. What can I say? I'm a cheapskate, but I'm kind of regretting it now, so maybe you should check it out. And they also have zip lining and hydrofoil there. Now, believe me when I say I love yoga, but maybe my focusing was a little more on partying when I was in Siargao, especially because I was there during New Year's. That said, I did go to have lunch at a place called Prana. I noticed they had yoga classes there, and I almost joined one myself. But there's going to be no shortage of yoga studios in Siargao. And I did read up on one very good one called Lotus Shores. So next time I'm in Siargao, I'll try to check that one out. Now, if surfing is your priority, let's get into it. Of course, Cloud 9 is where the magic happens. They have gentle rolling waves for beginners, which is awesome. But they do also have challenging waves for the advanced surfers. A 1-hour lesson costs $10, and board rentals are $3.50 for an hour or $8.50 for the whole day. I'm just going to throw up on the screen now some places to check out on the island if you plan on doing some surfing. Now let's get into your must-see natural wonders of Siargao. I'm actually going to release a dedicated vlog on this, so do subscribe if you want to check it out. But here's a quick rundown for now. So Cloud 9, the Masin River, and Magpopongo rock pools are all amazing spots to visit. Other spots to check out, though I didn't get to visit them this time around, are Sugba Lagoon, Tayangban Cave Pool, and Tak Tak Falls. You can, of course, book an island hopping tour in Siargao, and you will visit 3 islands in one day. They are Naked, Daku, and Guyam. This tour typically starts around 7 a.m. and it will last for 9 hours. But here's a tip. If you're looking for an extra special experience in terms of island hopping, do include Sohotan Island on your tour. And that's because you're going to have a chance to swim with these miniature stingless jellyfish, so it's not dangerous at all. That must be an incredibly unique and awesome experience, and I definitely have it on the list for next time. There are 2 beaches up north that are quite a ways away from General Luna, but you can check them out. I already talked about Pacifico and also Alegria Beach. However, if you're looking for a great spot to have a peaceful swim without leaving town, I want to recommend this little beach that is across the street pretty much in that general area from a fried chicken place called Andox. It's like a really big fried chicken spot. Just drive around that area on the other side of the road and you will see a small beach that's usually only has locals there. And I had a very peaceful sunset swim there. The water was very calm and actually really warm. It felt like a jacuzzi. Now I'm going to give you a quick rundown on Siargao's nightlife scene. So basically there's a specific party every day of the week, but every night it's in a different spot. So they usually start around 9, although they only start to heat up around 10, and those parties go until midnight. So you have pretty much 2 solid hours to kind of scope out the scene and see who's out that night. Instead of giving you a fixed party schedule in this video, I recommend you go on Instagram and search for Siargao party schedule, and you're going to find tons of reels with the current party schedule. So I would rather you have more up-to-date information by doing the research yourself. So those nightly parties, they wrap up around midnight. And after that, people generally go to the Siargao Beach Club, which is this amazing spot. It's really huge, so it never feels crowded. And that's where everyone kind of comes together around midnight. It's a stunning beachfront location, and by then people are already starting to feel pretty tipsy, so the party really gets going around that time. Siargao Beach Club does close at 2 a.m., so it is kind of tricky finding anything after that, so make sure you make the most of that time between 9 and 2. I want to recommend this tiny little roadside bar called Coco Dingo because that's where I would go when I wasn't really on like full party mode at 9 or 10 p.m. I would just go and chill at this bar. They have like really affordable drinks and even food. So sometimes I would just kind of float between the nightly party, Coco Dingo, and then at midnight head to Siargao Beach Club. A quick tip for the ladies, it's worth noting that while Siargao is a very safe place in general, it's always important to exercise caution at night. So you know the drill, don't walk home alone, very drunk at night, maybe keep an eye on your drinks and just generally be aware of your surroundings. Here's one last nightlife tip, grab yourself a bottle of Philippines Pride and Joy Tanduay rum. It's actually really good and you can get 250 mils for $1.50, which is pretty crazy. And what I love about the Philippines and Siargao especially is that ginger ale is readily available, which is my favorite pairing with rum. So there's a tip for you. This is a semi-nightlife related tip. I got a little tattoo on my finger while I was in Siargao, and this little baby cost me $25. I went to a place called AIRBNB. They were super friendly and professional, so do consider them if you plan on getting some ink while in Siargao. Now some tips for remote workers and digital nomads. Here are the top 3 co-working spots in Siargao. There's tons of them, but these seem to be the more popular options. The first one is Alter Space. It costs about $7 a day. They offer Starlink internet, they have food and drinks for sale, and community events. The next one is called Lexius Hotel. Similar pricing to Alter Space, but with a bonus of an infinity pool and their own restaurant. Coco Space is a bit pricier at $8.50, but besides Starlink internet, they have their own community room, cafe, swimming pool, and rooftop area. And of course, there are plenty of other hotels, hostels, and spaces with great internet connection. Starlink has really been a game changer for that island. That said, power outages, of course, will still happen occasionally, so it's a good idea to have your power banks and your SIM card so you can hotspot the internet in any emergency. I myself have a Globe SIM card while I've been here in the Philippines, and in general I've been pretty satisfied with it, and it's quite affordable as well. If you'd rather work from cafes, I'm going to put 4 cafes up on the screen right now that offer you a pretty comfortable atmosphere for that. Now if you're planning on getting adventurous in Siargao, and I think that you should, maybe it's worth having some peace of mind with travel insurance, and I always use Safety Wing Nomad insurance. It's super affordable, which is the main thing for me. It's really easy to sign up for, so you're not going to waste any time, and also what's really cool is that you can sign up even after your trip has already started, which is not common in the industry. I'm going to leave a link to Safety Wing below, so full disclosure, if you use my link, Safety Wing's going to throw some breadcrumbs my way, so thank you for that. Now let's talk about the cash, and of course, like in most of the Philippines, cash is king. Luckily, there are plenty of ATMs scattered around the island. Just be prepared to pay a flat fee of around $5 for each withdrawal, so make sure to just get as much money as you can each time. That's usually, depending on the ATM, from 10,000 to 12,000 pesos. And while you can expect to change money on the island, you can only do it at the pawn shops, and definitely don't expect to get any great deals. My friend Oscar was exchanging money there and he was getting pummeled every single time. In terms of debit and credit cards, they're generally only accepted in larger establishments and hotels. Like me, are you planning on making Siargao your home anytime soon? Well, I've kind of run through some quick math, and I think I can make it happen on about $1,200 a month. Of course, that will depend on your lifestyle and habits, but I just wanted to throw that out there in case you were wondering, so maybe I'll see you there. Now let's talk about RESPECT. When visiting Siargao, just remember to smile and vibe with the local culture, and generally just show respect for this community that makes that island so special. The locals there are super welcoming, and a little respect goes a long way in keeping the magic alive for all of us. Now you may have noticed that I haven't shared too many restaurant tips in this video, and that's because I've saved them for the next one, which is best places to eat in Siargao. From top-notch ceviche spots to budget-friendly food comas, I am covering all of the spots worth checking out. So just click on the video that's on your screen, and I will see you in Siargao yet again. See you right over there in 3, 2, 1.